Welcome back to another episode of the EP Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan McCarthy, the director at Hunter Rehab and Health. And I've got a very special guest with me today, the director at Fitness Education Online, Jono Petrohilos. How you going, Jono?
Ryan, I'm awesome, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Thanks, mate. I think I was on your podcast a couple of months ago now, probably about 2 months ago, and spent the best part of about 40, 45 minutes talking about myself. And I was absolutely stinging to ask these questions back to you, but that's sort of not how the podcast works. So I thought, why not invite you on and get you to share your story? So I'm very excited to chat with you today, mate. Thanks for being here.
No, I'm all good as well. I've heard the time limit's 20, 25 minutes, so I'll do my best to get under that because we're going to be speaking about my favorite topic myself. So I could I could go all day on that one.
Awesome, mate. Well, let's dive straight in, mate. Tell us, a little bit about your background, and how you got started in your field, mate. Tell us where it all began.
Yep, 100%. I'll also give some context and kind of share what I'm doing now as well.
Yeah.
So, in a nutshell, I'm the director of Fitness Education Online. We're mainly a CEC provider for personal trainers. We're actually the largest in Australia and the current award winners. We won the award for the Fitness Australia CEC Provider of the Year. So we
Nice.
provide online CEC courses for personal trainers. Some of them registered with ESSA as well for exercise physiologists, but mainly personal trainers, and also the Cert 3 and 4 in fitness. So that's kind of what I do now. But my background is in exercise physiology. So I'm a qualified exercise physiologist, did a degree in health and exercise science. And I'll share kind of, I guess, how I started and how I got to that journey there. How I went from EP to running Cert 3 and 4 and CEC courses for personal trainers. So yeah, finished high school, like most people probably watching, liked sport and fitness, thought, hey, why not do a degree in exercise science at the time? This is going back in, I think, 2004 or 2003, I graduated high school. So no one really knew what an exercise physiologist was back then. I didn't know. I just wanted to do a degree in exercise science. So did this degree in exercise science. And then throughout that degree, I found out there was a thing called exercise physiology. And the lectures would talk about it, and I kind of knew what it was going through uni. And it was different back then as well. Now I think it's a much clearer pathway. There's all sorts of like third-party schemes now, right? There's Medicare, there's DVA, there's NDIS, there's workers' comp. Like there's very clear pathways that are designed for EPs.
Yeah.
A lot of that didn't exist back in these days. So it was kind of like, what's the difference between us and personal trainers or us and PE teachers? It was a lot kind of grayer there.
Mm.
But anyway, finished my degree. And I was like, all right, I think I know what I want to do. I want to do cardiac rehab. I want to, because that was what I was most interested in at uni and my placements and whatnot. So I finished my degree, went to Sutherland Hospital. There's a job available, Sutherland Hospital, for a EP to work in cardiac rehab. And they were like, yep, great, just fill out this form. And I was used to applying for jobs at like Sizzler and McDonald's, so
How good was
this
Sizzler
cardiac
back in the
rehab.
day?
Yeah. Well, that was my uni job, Sizzler.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I had to fill out this form. And the
Yeah.
form was, if anyone's filled them out that's listening, they're quite in-depth application forms, right? With specific, show us where you've got 5 years experience of working with clients with diabetes, of working with clients with cardiac condition. I had none of that. I had my handful of hours I did at uni. And I was like, okay, it's going to be a little bit harder than I thought. So my plan was, right, let me get a job in a gym as a personal trainer, but target my clientele for that kind of demographic. Let me be the guy in the gym that trains the older adults, that trains people with hypertension, that trains people with diabetes, and kind of use that skill set there. So
Yeah.
that was kind of my plan.
Was anyone else
And
doing that in that space at the time, or this was a
not
original thought?
yeah, not really. There was kind of
Mm.
like, that's kind of what we were told during uni as well. Hey, a big
Mm.
part of exercise physiology is training these people here. Personal trainers don't have the qualifications to train them. Personal trainers can't train them. So I was like,
Mm.
sounds great. But then when I got in the industry, I realized personal trainers do train these demographics as well. So that put a spanner in the works. But I
Yeah.
think a message there. Let me think of how to. Actually, I'll go back a step here. I was able to pretty much walk into any job at the gym because of that degree and because I was an exercise physiologist. Because
Yeah.
I'd walk into any gym, the gym manager was, Cert 3 and 4 in fitness with a couple of years experience. I'd be like, okay, you're an exercise physiologist, you're in. When do you start? So I think that's a good message for the listeners as well. If there's maybe not the perfect EP job out there at the moment, it can be quite easy to start in the fitness field. And what happened from there? So do you want me just to keep going on, or you want to dive into?
Yeah, tell us. Yeah, tell us that experience at the gym.
Yep.
What your challenges were there, mate? Obviously, you're a
Yep.
couple of years out. You've got very minimal experience,
Yeah.
and yeah, how'd you go in terms of those first couple of years?
Yeah. So it was really interesting, and I'll go back a step as well. I really struggled during my kind of placement at uni because I just had no idea what I was doing, and I found that really hard. So the good part about the job that I had in the gym, the first one anyway, it was a full-time job, 40 hours a week. Basically, any client, any member that signed up at the gym, they would get like 5 free sessions. They get like an orientation, they get a program, they get some nutrition tips, a free personal training session, and then a review. And that was amazing for me just to kind of test my craft. I'd go in and especially the orientations, because we'd obviously do height, weight, BMI, whatever, but we'd do, and I could kind of do whatever I want. They gave me free reign. So I could do
Mm,
skin folds, I could do skin calipers. Like, that's one of the hardest parts at uni. You get the skin calipers once every 12 months and you'd stress when people are, measuring you. So I could just do that in my own time and practice it, and really get good at the measurements, and I'd go home and I'd research the different things, and then, different fitness tests, and see how I could do it at gyms. And so that, and also just the programming, seeing what kind of programming people need, and then the personal training, seeing where they need the techniques, seeing where I don't have good technique, seeing if
mm,
the teaching side of things. So it was a great experience, because I would just pack my day out as well. Like, I'd basically be doing 40 hours of just that kind of stuff. So it was really, really good to get experience, knowing people as well. All that
mm.
was great. But the biggest challenge was the cash. It was like, because that job was really designed for like a Cert 3 in fitness gym instructor kind of person.
Yep.
So, I was there with a 4-year uni degree, qualified exercise physiologist at like 22 or 23 or something like that. I was basically doing a job designed for 18-year-olds with a Cert 3 in fitness. So
Mm,
the pay was the biggest struggle there. So I
yep.
was like, all right, I gotta make more money. I went to get a loan at the bank, and they're like, nah, see you later, bye. We can't give you any money with the salary you're on. So I was like, all right, let me see what else is out there. So I jumped on Seek, and then I saw an opportunity on Seek, basically to run a boot camp franchise kind of thing. And the stat said most of our trainers, make $70,000 a year working 5 hours a day. Now, I was making $40,000 a year working 40 hours a week. So I was
sounds
like,
sounds too good to be
yeah,
true.
yeah, exactly. I was like, I'll settle for either, even if it's not 70,000. I'll go for half. I'll go for 35,000 just working 5 hours a week. Or, hey, if it's 70,000 or whatever it is, I'm happy. I'll work all day and night for that compared to what I'm on now. So I
Yeah.
was all right. Let me look into this. Applied for the opportunity, was able to pretty much walk into it again, mainly because of the exercise physiology degree. I'd
Yep.
never it was a boot camp. I'd never run a boot camp before. Had a phone interview, stumbled through it because I didn't really know what to say, what to do, but got the opportunity, I think, because of the degree. So this guy's got a degree, in he goes. So got that opportunity there. And the business model was solid. Here's the business model, which I still think is one of the best models around that anyone listening to this can go and implement. It was essentially, from the client side of things, the client would pay, so in PT space, we say client, in EP
Yep.
patient, so I'm just going to say
Yep.
client.
Yep.
The client would pay $50 a week, and they would get 5 boot camp sessions a week. 6 a.m. Monday to Saturday, or 6 sessions, whatever. Monday to Saturday, 6 a.m. till 7 a.m. I'd run a boot camp. The client would pay $50 a week. So it ended up like $8 or $9 a session. So it's a good deal for the client, but
Mm,
it's such a leveraged opportunity for the trainer, because even if we do some rough numbers on that, let's say you get 20 people to your boot camp, that's $1,000 a week working 1 hour a day, right?
mm,
If you can get 40 people down there, $2,000 a week working 5 hours a day. All right. You can get 80 people down there, which isn't unheard of. All right. $4,000 a week, working 1 hour a day. So amazing business. And that's a whole nother conversation. How do you get 80 people down? How do you market? How do you deal with them? But just in terms of the business model, it was solid.
Yeah.
But I sucked at it. So I didn't have the sales and marketing skills to be able to get the 40 people down there. I didn't have it's not really clinical skills. It's more like the group facilitation skills as well, because it's a different skill set. I was used to one-on-one in the gym, one person, and now I've got 20 people at once, all different levels, all different personalities. I didn't quite have that skill set there. So,
in these first couple of years, was there someone you're looking up to, or someone you're bouncing ideas off, or someone that was sort of ahead of where you wanted to be, and you're bouncing ideas off them?
Great question. So this is the biggest advantage I had there, which I took for granted at the time. But now I look back as probably the only reason I'm where I am now is because of this system here, and then how I kind of utilized it. So at this franchise that I kind of, the boot camp franchise, there was, give or take, about 70 different locations all across Australia. And we had like a Facebook group with all different 70 people in there that you could bounce ideas around. And there was like a manager that was really good at what he did as well. But it's interesting because some of us used that, some of us didn't, right? Initially, I didn't. I thought, I'm an exercise physiologist. I know all this, I don't need to, I'm better than these people, this and that. But what happened is you were actually ranked, right? So out of all 70 locations, or 74, I think it was, you were ranked on how good you were based on your retention. So let's say I had 20 people at my boot camp and all 20 came back for the next, it was 12-week blocks. My retention rate is 100%. So you're ranked on how good you were there. Take a guess what I was ranked, Ryan, initially.
Out of the 70.
Out of 74, it was actually.
Out of 74. I don't want to be too harsh. I'd say in the middle, 30.
I wish. You're too kind. I was 74. That's how I know there was 74, because I was that number. All right. Dead last. Wow. And also, it wasn't like, this is objective data. I wasn't have low confidence. I'm not good at what I do. There was a pie chart telling me how bad I was.
Wow.
That's yeah. So, but it was a blessing in disguise. Yeah. Because at the end of the year, we had like a meeting. I don't know what to call it. Yeah, kind of like a meeting. Call it like a meeting where all different 75 locations met up in the one place. And I didn't want to go because I'm like, this is embarrassing. Everyone's going to know who I am. That's the guy coming 74th, this and that. But looking back, and now it's interesting because at the time I was so self-conscious. But if you said that to me now, hey, Jono, there's a meeting and there's going to be 75 people there doing exactly what you do, but better, I would pay for that opportunity. Here I was not wanting to go because I was worried about being the dumbest guy in the room, right? Now, if you can find 75 people that do exactly what I do, but better, shut up and take my money. I'll pay for that, right? So it's interesting there, but I'll go deeper in a sec here. So went to this meeting and it was funny. Actually, let me think where to start. Okay, I'll give, because there were two key points here that I think the listeners will get a lot out of. So off the bat, there were different tables with 5 or 6 people there, sat down at a table, and it just so happened I gravitated towards like 68 and 71. There are about 4 or 5 of us on the table, all kind of lower. It's funny how you just gravitate towards people like that. So he sat there, and
it sounds like you all had numbers on your shirts.
Pretty much, But here's the funny part, right? And then we had to change tables, after each couple hours or whatever. And then the next table I ended up, and he was the people number 1, number 3, number 7, and it was the conversation at those tables was worlds apart and completely different to what I thought, right? It was what I thought when I thought, the number 1 people, they're going to be the biggest, the best looking, the most charismatic, the ones with the best bodies, the ones with the biggest social media presence, that's who's going to be. But it wasn't. It was just like, I looked at the table and I'm like, I would have backed myself, just based on looks and charisma or whatever. I would have backed myself over these people. But it was the conversations the conversations that were going on were things like, oh yeah, I just did this course here, this CEC course or CPD course. I paid $1,000 for it. And it was the best thing I ever did. And I was thinking in my head, paid $1,000 for a course. Who is these people? What are they? How silly are they? But then it was like all of the people at the table were kind of talking about, oh, you've done that course? Yeah, that's next on my list. I've done this. Oh, I want to do that one too. And at the start, I thought they were idiots paying that much for the course. But then I was looking back and I'm like, hold on, I'm coming 75th. They're coming, number one, they're making $4,000 a week. I'm making $400 a week. Maybe they know, these courses are actually worth it. Maybe that $1,000 on a course is maybe worth it. So
Yes.
that was one thing. But the other thing as well was just the level of commitment they had to their clients, where they were like, oh, look, I'm going to do this for my clients. So I'm going to get these little presents and give them to my clients here. And I'm going to, whatever, whether it was doing that little bit of extra work to give a better, I text them every week, every client every week just to see how they're going, or, oh, every now and then I throw in a surprise and do this. And I'm just like, wow, these people are doing so much more for their clients than I am. And it was just kind of a difference in mindset as well, because I think because I was down the bottom and I was, I can't afford to spend all this money on courses, or it's not worth it for me to do all these little extra things for my clients. But then I kind of realized, well, you have to, if I want to get to that level of these people are doing, the only way I'm going to get there is by doing what they're doing.
Yes.
So that was a key thing there.
Yeah.
Do you want to expand there, or do you want me to keep going on?
No, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit more, because it's that common phrase, you got to learn more to earn more. It's you hear that all the time, learn more to earn more. And it's very interesting because I'm still trying to put my finger on it. How and when do we have that shift? I guess you were saying, I wouldn't spend X amount, and then all of a sudden you had a shift, and you did, and that's how everyone's career accelerates. It's just like trying to, I guess, for younger EPs in the industry, I think we all start out quite sort of tight with our money, and we don't want to spend money on ourselves. And then there is some sort of catalyst for everyone. And it's interesting to figure out how do we elicit that catalyst sooner in their career to get them succeeding sooner, rather than it be later in the career.
100%. Well, I'll tell you a couple of things that helped for me. Number one, I kind of didn't have a choice. It was a blessing in disguise that I was the worst one there at 74, because I'm like, I got to do something or I'm going to lose this amazing opportunity. If I was like middle of the range 30, I'd still be there today, middle of the range 30, So I was lucky there. But here's the thing that was the kicker for me. So we also had to have like the owner of the whole franchise gave like a little speech at the start of the thing. And I knew how much money she was making, because there were 75 different locations. Each location was giving her, because I knew how much I was paying her, each location was giving her, give or take, about $1,000 a week. So she was making $75,000 a week without even getting out of bed, without even, running the boot camp. Yeah. And I was like, I'm open, And then it got deeper, because she was at the time, I think, 24 years old, high school dropout, no uni qualification, finished high school, didn't finish, dropped out of high school, worked at Valley Girl, got fired from Valley Girl, didn't know what to do, liked fitness, got into being a personal trainer, started one boot camp, was good at it, opened another. Before too long, she's 24 years old, making $75,000 a week without getting out of bed. Here I am with a uni degree, qualified exercise physiologist, making, $500,000 a week. I was kind of like, what's my excuse? If she can do that, what's my, and then my mind was open. And then I had to have a meeting with the franchise owners, her and the kind of upper team. And they were like, Jono, you're coming 75th. What's going on? And I was like, oh, it's not my fault. There's all this competition. It's 24-hour gyms, online things, this and that, competitive area, and also the marketing. You guys are meant to be doing my marketing. The leads you're getting me are rubbish, so I'm not getting any numbers there. And then the weather, I'm in Sydney, it rains. You can't run a boot camp in Sydney. And they were like, okay, Jono, we got some good news and we got some bad news. The bad news is, as a boot camp instructor, you suck. You're coming 75th. You see the pie chart. But the good news is you can do something about it. Because at the moment, you're sitting here blaming everybody else but yourself. Maybe it's not the competition's fault that you're not successful. Maybe it's your fault. You haven't done enough to be better than the competition. What upskilling have you done? What CEC courses have you done? And I'm like, oh, I get my 20 CECs every year. And they're like, Jono, that's the bare minimum just to stay in the industry. Of course, if you do the bare minimum, you're going to be down the bottom. And I was like, oh, okay. It's a good, interesting way to look at it. I was looking at it, it's a pain in the ass to get these things, and I do it because I have to.
Yeah.
Whereas it's kind of like, that's the bare minimum just to stay in the industry. So I was like, okay, good point. They were like, also, our marketing sucks. Is it our marketing that sucks, or is it your sales skills? What sales courses have you done? What books have you read? What mentors have you hired? I was like, oh, got to do that too? They're like, yeah. And also, if our marketing sucks so much, why don't you just go out and do some of your own? And I was like, okay, good point. And they're like, the weather. They're like, Jono, you can hire out like a school hall for $20. You can solve your biggest problem for $20, but you're too busy sitting here blaming everybody else but yourself. And I was like, yeah, okay, got me. So they were like, Jono, here's what we're going to do. You're safe for the next, year. We're not going to get rid of your franchise or whatever. But what we want you to do is just take some responsibility, right? If something goes wrong, instead of blaming somebody else, do something about it, right? Start by doing some boot camp CEC courses. Have you done any? I was like, nah. They're like, well, it's a pretty good place to start. So I was like, all right, and I kind of respected them because I was like, well, they're giving me a chance, they obviously know what they're talking about. Look, let me go and book in a boot camp CEC course. I went on Google, whatever, boot camp CEC course, found one, signed up, and it was great because I went there, learned some sales stuff, learned some marketing stuff, learned some workout stuff that I could implement. Actually, not even sales and marketing, it was just workout stuff at that stage, but learned just some really cool, like, group dynamic stuff that I could implement immediately. And I saw an instant ROI. I saw that I did, because the time that I did it was, I don't know what it was, week 8 or whatever, where the numbers usually drop off and people kept coming. And then more people sign up for the next one. And I did the ROI. I was like, hold on, I got an extra, 4 or 5 people sign up, paying me $400 or $500. I made an extra $2,000 or $3,000 just by doing this $300 course. Let me do another one of these. And then I went and found another one and did the same thing. And then and it doesn't, for the listeners out there, it doesn't always work like that. I was just where, you pay for one course and you get a, 5 times ROI straight away. Like sometimes it does, depending on what you do. But I think I just got lucky in that sense as well, in that I did a course, saw an immediate ROI, and then did another one and saw an immediate ROI. And then I'm just like, the more of these I do, the better I'm going to get. And that's a whole nother story, but that's essentially, my what I did when I finished.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing, mate. I think there's some absolutely gold nuggets in there for the listeners in terms of what needs to be done in those early years to progress their career. So I always like to ask all the guests on the podcast this question to get just the different lens from different health professionals and your different experiences, your beliefs. I guess, what are the key things that contribute to making Australia's best exercise physiologist or personal trainer? I think we can use both in that sense. So what are the key factors for someone listening here in your eyes that would make up the best?
Yep.
An award winner.
Yep. Gotcha. Okay. So, all right, maybe we go on that end, because I was going to say, what do you define as best, because it could be the most financially successful, the most well-known, the one that gets the best results, actually, I want to ask you, what kind of definition do we want to run with here?
Yeah, I'm quite open. I think it'd be your definition. So if like the general public, if someone wins an award for the best exercise physiologist, like I guess it's a combination of things, and it's sometimes there's certain things that outweigh it. Sometimes its reputation outweighs actually clinical skills. So like so it's about what they should be focusing on to be recognized as the best.
Yep. Okay. Good question. So I think initial is just to be amazing at your craft. And I think that probably comes down to 2 things. I think it just comes down to that actual clinical skill set. And I think the more specialized, the better there. Because I think it's too hard to be great at everything. Hey, I'm a personal trainer that's great at fat loss, or I'm an EP that's great at working with people with diabetes and pregnant women and bodybuilders and this. It's really hard. So I think if you can get a defined skill set and just be amazing at your craft there and just know it inside out. Then I think the step from there is service, because you can be amazing at what you do, but if your service sucks, no one's going to keep staying with you. One of my favorite quotes is, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So I think it's kind of those two things marrying up. Be really, really good at your skill set, and then just give an amazing service or show your clients that you care. I think it's those. They're probably the two biggest things there, in my opinion, of what makes a good exercise physiologist or personal trainer. Then I think the next level there is some sort of marketing so that people know about it. Because otherwise, that's great. I can be really, I'll use personal trainer. I can be a really good personal trainer, and I can help my 10, 15 clients, and that's it, right?
Yes.
But if I can market myself, sky's the limit, because I can have 100 clients. I can have trainers under me or EPs under me. So, yeah, I think it's probably those three things there. So I'd say just skill set, service, and then marketing.
Awesome.
Or impact. Let's say impact is probably a better way to put it. Yeah, because marketing just sounds like, I got to get good at marketing, but it's more like, how many people can you impact? If we're just as good as each other, but I'm impacting 1,000 people, Ryan's impacting 10 people, well, I'm making more impact. I think that would, I should win an award because I'm impacting more people.
Yes. Yeah. That's perfect answer, mate. It's very clear. And I think that helps massively. It just gives young EPs an idea of what is success for them in the industry, and what is success seen by other people rather than just themselves. So really great answer, and very clear and succinct, I think, as well. And I couldn't agree more in those three key areas. Running out of time, mate. It's gone, absolutely flown by, and absolutely loving it. But what's on the horizon for you, mate? What's where you're at now, and what's on the horizon moving forward? I guess we're skipping a lot of years now, but
yeah. So, well, look, so I'm pretty happy in that CEC space. That's, we get all the awards, whatever. It's pretty much running itself as well, the way we've got it. I'm just in a leadership role there, which is great.
Yeah,
we've got our Cert 3 and 4 in fitness, which is kind of new, but that's pretty much taking care of itself as well. So that's kind of, I think that chapter's almost done too. The next step I'm working on now, which is an interesting one, is putting together a business certifications. So things like a Cert 3 and 4 in business, a Cert 3 and 4 in new business. So kind of getting out of that fitness sense, which it's good and bad. The advantages of being in the fitness space is it's just so defined. You're a personal trainer, you got to get these CCs. You want to be a personal trainer, you got to get this Cert 3 and 4 in fitness. To run a business, you don't need a Cert 3 and 4 in business. So it'll be interesting. But the flip to that is the market is just huge.
Yes.
So it's actually, random question. Did you ever get any business certifications, Ryan?
I did not. I could go down a different story. I did commence a Cert 3 or 4 business.
There we go.
But the academy went bust. They went bankrupt.
Oh, damn.
And
who was it? Can you mention him, or? You don't know.
I'm trying to remember. No, I actually don't. It would have been like 7. Or it would have been like 9 years ago, I think. Entamio, just a very strange one. Yeah, but that's all I'd done, to be honest. So
I've never done any.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think it's very valuable as well for a lot of people out there. So that's absolutely amazing, mate. Thank you so much for your time on here. So where can listeners learn more about you? Where can they find you, and where can they find these amazing courses that you've developed?
Yes. So being over 35 years old, I'm more a Facebook guy. So you're welcome to join my Facebook group. It's actually the largest in the world for personal trainers, but there's also a lot of EP. Yeah, about 17,000 of us in there. Wow. But it's also a lot of EPs in there too. And it's great to have a lot of EPs in there, because personal trainers, especially in my group, we're very strict on our scope, where it's like, here's what we can do, and we need EPs. There's always a lot of people who are like, hey, I've got this, a lot of personal trainers, hey, I've got this client here. Does anyone know an EP I could refer them to? Or are there any EPs here that can give me some rough guidelines? So would love to get EPs in that group. It's called
Yeah.
Fitness Education Online. And if you want to check out our courses, most of them are tailored for personal trainers, but a lot of them are also registered with ESSA. We've got kettlebell courses, mobility courses. So you can you obviously do our personal trainer courses as well. You may or may not get ESSA points depending how it works now, but they're good courses to do anyway. And there's courses ESSA accredited if you need your CPDs as well. You got those interests, and that's just fitnesseducationonline.com.au.
Awesome. Sounds great, mate. I'll put all of those in the show notes for the listeners, and yeah, highly encourage everyone to check that out. That's 17,000 in that Facebook group. That sounds amazing, mate. So, yeah,
But
definitely
add you in there
recommend
if you're not in there already.
Yeah, I'll be 17,001. I'll jump on now. All right. Awesome. Thanks, Jono. Absolutely pleasure to chat. And thank you so much for sharing your story. It's it's been very valuable for myself and the listeners as well. So thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
No worries. Bye for now.